Welcome back to International Dyno Authority. On this episode of Tech Talks, we will be talking about what is a tune anyway, and why should you do a tune with your vehicle? What do we do here to make big horsepower at International Dyno Authority? Stay tuned. Alrighty, here's the way a tune works here at International Dyno Authority. The first thing that typically happens is the customer contacts us through one of many different avenues. Might be on a phone call, might have been that they contacted us from our website or through our website. A lot of contact is now done through social media. So when I get a phone call or somebody contacts me with an email, they generally have questions. What we do is go through the process with them of answering their questions. The questions usually revolve around two things: peak torque and peak horsepower. They want to know how much power they're going to get from a tune. I try to veer away from that a little bit because those only represent two small plots on the actual torque and horsepower curve. I try to educate them a little bit as to what we're going to do. So here's what we're going to do. When a customer calls us, we're going to find out what they have. Let's talk about a 2011 Camaro, 6.2 liter, naturally aspirated or supercharged, doesn't matter to us. I'm going to then get all their information, which is just standard business practice, put them on the calendar and let them know that we're going to have to license them with HP tuners. It's the program that we prefer to use. So I'm then going to contact Wally, put them on the calendar, and here's what's going to happen. We're going to come in, we're going to run a baseline, which means we're going to find out how much power they currently have. Then we're going to hook them up with this device. This is simply something that allows us to read our customer's computer, license the computer with HP tuners, and then we buy whatever number of credits from HP tuners that allows us to use the software. Wally's going to then read it and start creating and looking at the file that's there and how far off are the different parameters in the file. So this is the fun part. We bring them in, we show how much power they currently have. It's a torque curve that's also mathematically shown as a horsepower curve. One of the things we're going to go through in another video is what is torque and what is horsepower? How do they relate to each other? So that's going to be kind of fun. So that's when we're going to do a 2010 Camaro. We're going to use this. We're going to hook up with HP tuners, license it with HP tuners. A standard tune here at International Dyno Authority, which is going to get you anywhere from 60 to 100 foot-pounds. It's going to get you anywhere from 35 to 100 horsepower. Is going to cost about $1,000. A customer comes in and they have a Mustang, and it's an older Mustang. We had to get used to that because I've been trying to talk people out of chips. And here we have a chip for an older Mustang. So if you have a Mustang that's like from 88, let's say, right up through to 94, even into some of the 4.6 liters, we still have to use this chip. And all this does is allow us to communicate with your factory ECU. The factory ECU is something that we prefer to use. We don't want to put a standalone in if we can avoid it. It's a lot of work, and standalones are very non-granular. So what we do is we put this chip on the computer and we program this for what they have in the vehicle, whether it's a stock mass airflow sensor, whether it's a set of headers, whatever it happens to be. We're going to take some readings from the mass airflow sensor and begin to create a tune. Always during these tunes, we're going to be reading air-fuel ratio. So what we do with the Mustang, this is kind of fun, we pull the computer out and we put this little chip on the computer. Then we take it back and we put it on the chip burner. And this is some old-fashioned stuff, but it's how it works, and there's a lot of those Mustangs out there. 88 to 92 is extremely popular for Mustangs. We put it on this chip burner, and basically what we're doing, we're not burning anything. We're giving this chip some instructions. So we're doing a little flash file to it. We put it back on. We have the opportunity with this to put up to 4 files at once. So that's how we do a Mustang. We'll run a baseline, and then we'll begin to do the air-fuel ratio, and we'll begin to do the tuning. When you leave here, the car will not feel the same as it did when you came in. And that's a big deal for me. It makes my job fun every single day, and I'm very, very fortunate to have a guy by the name of Wally to come in and do this tuning with us. A lot of customers come in and they have a lot of different questions, and by the time they leave, most of those questions have been answered. Technically, it depends on where the customer is in their information and their education as far as vehicles go. Okay, so those are two big things that we use. Now, we talk about this every single video, and this is something I want to show you. This is a wideband air-fuel ratio sensor. We happen to use this brand. It's a Bosch. It basically picks up the pounds of air and it picks up the pounds of fuel. So they compare pounds of air to pounds of fuel. So pounds of air versus pounds of fuel. A really great ratio that we'll talk about will be 12.5, 12.8. Pounds of air to 1 pound of fuel. That's always where we go with that. So when we're tuning, we put this either into a bung that the customer has welded in for us, or most of the time, we'll put that aside. We'll hook up a tailpipe sniffer. So this goes into the tailpipe. You can see the little hole here. And the sniffer actually forces some of the exhaust up through this sensor. So this becomes your bung. We put this onto here, and then we hook this up to either the computer or through HP tuners. We hook it up and we create a PID to read that, or it goes directly back to the dyno itself, and we can read 100 over 100 RPM and air-fuel ratio. Then we can make adjustments accordingly. So from start to finish, you're going to make a phone call to International Dyno. You're probably going to get me on the phone. Then we're going to put you on the schedule, and from there we're going to decide what we're going to do. Let's talk about a 2011 Camaro. We license it, cost me 2 credits. The entire price is around $1,000 right now. That includes your tuner, Wally, who's done thousands of tunes. He's going to make you big power, big horsepower, and lots of torque. You're going to leave here being able to do things you couldn't do before. The car's going to be emission-free almost, because the air fuel is going to be correct. The car is going to have tons of horsepower. The car is going to have big torque off the bottom, and it's going to now have a combustion process that's very efficient. We're not throwing a bunch of extra fuel into combustion for no reason at all. Thank you for watching this episode of Tech Talks on International Dyno Authority. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel and Facebook for more new releases.